Welcome to Chalk Talk, a weekly preview of West Tennessee football featuring the Jackson Sun sports team here on JacksonSun.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Week 8 high school football Chalk Talk here at JacksonSun.com. My name is Craig Thomas. This is the sports editor and high school football beat writer for us at the Jackson Sun, Brandon Shields. And Brandon, this is a week that we've really been looking forward to because there's so many good games, a lot of district leadership is at stake, maybe some championships involved, and just really several good games to look forward to. And one of them is going to be right here in the city, maybe the biggest game of the year so far in Jackson, as Northside plays Liberty. What should we expect from the Northside Liberty game?
Well, first of all, I've kind of been wanting to put like a name on this Friday, kind of like sometimes in college football you'll have like Separation Saturday or something like that. We could almost call it Championship Friday because there's going to be 3 district championships that are maybe not necessarily totally decided, who's champion and who's runner-up, but we're possibly going to have 3 champions definitely crowned this week. The first one, like you mentioned, started with Liberty and Northside. The winner of this game, because these 2 teams are 3-0 in the district, and everybody else has at least 2 losses. The winner of this game will definitely be the champion. Liberty's coming in with riding a lot of momentum. They got those 2 losses to the small colleges that they played in non-district play early on, but they pretty much dominated when they played within their own class. A game hadn't even been close with athletes like Devin Bush. When he's hurt, you got Willie Pearson going in there running in his place. Corey Newble.
Willie Pearson.
Yeah, Willie Pearson. I was trying to think of the defensive lineman's name, Meadows, Colton Meadows. Sorry about that, Colton. Jalen Golden, Jarvis Neely, great athletes all over the place, a lot of speed. There's really nowhere on the field where there's not just state championship track type speed on the field for Liberty. And then on Northside's side of things, they're riding a lot of momentum because they hadn't lost at all this year. They've had a couple of big wins. They're a couple weeks removed from the overtime win at Lexington. They're got the big win over JCM 2 weeks ago to kind of ruin JCM's homecoming. Tylen Shaw, better known to his buddies as Red, has proven to be a quality quarterback leading this offense, and he's got plenty of guys to get the ball to, and it's kind of hard to kind of judge about who's going to win this and how the game's going to go, just because it's kind of hard to find a weak spot on either team. So pretty much we just have to get out to the reservation Friday night and see what happens.
Should be fun. Chester County and Lexington are rivals in really just about everything, and football is definitely part of that. They've got a big 14 AA game. What do you expect?
Well, first of all, talking to Chester County head coach Michael Hodem, he said, people call it a rivalry. It's kind of hard for me to call it a rivalry when Chester County hasn't beaten Lexington at any point this century. He said he thought 1999 was the last time they'd beaten them. And they played nearly every year. A couple of years they didn't play, but yeah, this one, if Chester County wins, they don't necessarily clinch it unless McNary loses the South Side, but then they'd have to beat McNary, then they'd win the championship. Lexington definitely wins the championship if they win. Lexington's coming in with the new quarterback, Dylan Smith, coming in for Tylen Johnson after he tore his ACL in that Northside game a couple weeks ago. And you still got Tarekius Tisdale back there in that backfield, so they're going to be tough to stop. This is definitely going to be Chester County's toughest opponent, at least since Adamsville in week 0, if not of the entire year. And and Hodem even acknowledges the fact that some people call Chester County's 6-game win streak into question. Looking at the teams they've beaten, it's not exactly, a meat grinder of a schedule coming into this game. But he says, you know what, who cares on Friday night? It's a game against Lexington. We're not playing to beat Obion County. We're not playing to beat Fayette Ware or JCM. We're playing to beat Lexington. If we beat Lexington, we get a district championship and we get to host our first playoff game probably. So definitely going to be a lot riding on this one for Chester County.
For sure. And you mentioned Chester County's win streak. Huntington and McKenzie have also been playing very well the last few weeks. they will be competing for maybe that top spot in District 13A. Huntington McKenzie, obviously county rivals as well. Kind of similar situation, the rivals and everything. Definitely a big football game. What are you looking for?
Well, yeah, McKenzie's coming in on a 5-game win streak after starting with 2 losses. And meanwhile, Huntington's, kind of tripped up against a couple of quality teams, Westview and Union City. At least one of those teams will probably come out of Cookeville with a state championship in December. But this is going to be a really good matchup of McKenzie's no-huddle offense versus Huntington's defense that hasn't allowed a point in district play yet. Rocky Boland, one of Huntington's players, I can't remember if I put it in the story that was in Tuesday's paper, but I remember talking to him, and he said, it's kind of hard to believe that we've been able to do that, because you figure at some point somebody would score a point somewhere, even if it's in the last couple of minutes of a game. But the defense is taking pride in that, and they're definitely going to try to keep that up this week. If they can, obviously if they can, they win. But I think McKenzie's offense is going to be a little tougher to stop than Brewston or Gleason or West Carroll coming into this game.
And that game will be at
McKenzie.
McKenzie, okay. So it should be a good one there. Camden's going to visit Waverly, another big game kind of on the eastern edge of our coverage area. What do you, can Camden, they've had a good season, can they keep it up with it, get another big win?
I think they can. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know a lot about Waverly. What little I know about them comes from Camden head coach William Blow. But, Waverly is a surprising team because they're not really known as a football power over in that area. But they got a new coach who's apparently done a good job recruiting his hallways. He's gotten a lot of athletes that make up their quality basketball program. Some of those guys have come out and play football, and it's working. They were undefeated until last week when Lewis County beat them. But Camden's coming in. They're riding the legs of Deshaun Brown, who's I think he's definitely one of our top 2. I've got to go back and look at the stats and see who's leading between him and Johnny Jones for our top rusher. But they're both on pace to get 2,000 yards by the end of the regular season, not just at some point in the playoffs. Plus, Camden is able to 2 platoon on both sides of the ball. They got 44 guys who play on the 2 deep on both sides of the ball. So you got to think that depth advantage is going to help them in this game and ultimately help them get a district championship. If Camden wins this, they don't necessarily win the championship, but if they win, all they got to do is win one of their last 2 against Stewart County and Creekwood, and they get the championship.
All right. Scott Sill got back on track last week by beating Zion Christian, and they will have a pretty tough game coming up. They play an Adamsville team that has meant business pretty much all season long. It'll be at Scotts Hill, but obviously a very big test for them. What do you see out of that Adamsville-Scotts Hill game?
Well, first of all, Adamsville's got to be feeling good coming out of that 21-19 win against Hardin County last week. That was the first time they've been challenged since they took that Week 2 loss to TCA. But Scotts Hill, their 4 wins, it's hard to really pick out a most impressive win out of the 4 teams they've beaten. I know Zion Christian had a record of 3-3 going in to last week, but we could compare scores, but let's not get into that. But I think Scotts Hill matches up a little better with Adamsville than a lot of people might expect them to, because they've got a big line and they've got a quality running game, and that's obviously Adamsville's strength as well. So I'm not sure how Scotts Hill will actually match up with them as far as all 4 quarters. I think depth's going to be an issue for Scotts Hill. But we could see a pretty competitive game, at least the first half, if not into the third, possibly fourth quarter, if Scotts Hill can keep Adamsville's offense off the field.
That'd be something for sure. All right, so we got, as you can tell, a great slate of games, several games with district title implications, and frankly, several games that even if you don't root for one of the teams around here, you'd get a pretty good entertainment value, I think, just by going out. So basically the coverage plan for the week, we'll have some preview stories throughout the week, as you guys have gotten accustomed to. Friday morning, again, the Friday morning blitz with those preview capsules, looking at all these games and some of the other ones that we didn't even mention, but ought to be pretty good.
Yeah, there's some really high-profile matchups we didn't talk
Didn't even
about.
make the cut this week. And then obviously the stats package with all the leaders for rushing, passing, tackling, that sort of thing for the schools that call those in. Then Friday night we'll have people at all these, or quite a few of these games anyway. You'll be at the Northside Liberty game.
Yes.
Is probably a good portion of Jackson almost will feel like we'll be at that one. But lots of good games for sure, and we'll be tweeting and getting score updates on JacksonSun.com. You'll have halftime and I guess some full-time scores
Sure.
there on Twitter and on the website. You can follow him at JS Editor Brandon. Like I said, full coverage from a lot of these games. We'll have stories, photos, and maybe some videos, some stuff like that. So definitely a lot of cool stuff to check out. Then get that Saturday paper for sure, the Crunch section. Just kind of a full look at West Tennessee high school football and even some scores throughout the state. We got pretty much everything you could want out of high school football on Saturday morning for sure. And then we'll know a little bit more about how these district races set up and maybe kind of make that push for the postseason.
Yeah, the column talking about the district races was really long in Thursday's paper this week. Hopefully it'll be a little shorter next week when all this gets cleared up.
All right, sounds good. But we appreciate you guys following us and reading us throughout the year, and we hope to see you out there on Friday night. Have a great week.
See ya.